The following is a review for critical, analytical, and educational purposes only, and is protected under Article 17 and 107 in the United States Fair Use Code. This video is not an infringement on copyright. Please enjoy the video, everyone. What's up, guys? This is the Dragon Fist. Welcome back to my Yu-Gi-Oh! Review series. After a little hiatus, the series is finally back. Let's get back into Noah's Saga. First off, a little format update. I've given up on Adobe mostly because they are ripping people off with their overpriced products. For Photoshop and Premiere combined, they were charging me a total of $40 a month. While this number may not sound like much at first, it certainly added up, to the point where I was barely able to split my funds for tuition, food, or even car repairs, stuff like that. And when I went to add my plans for both Premiere and Photoshop, the company decided to charge me a $70 cancellation fee. A fee to cancel a plan? That's not just robbery, it's slander and abuse. I don't know what Adobe is thinking, but their policies need to change. Eventually, I was able to get a new software called Camtasia, which is essentially the same as Premiere, only without the monthly charge. The software is still fairly new to me, so I may have not yet mastered it at the time of this video's recording. As such, a few of these newer videos might be in lower quality, at least until I can figure out all the hidden goodies Camtasia has to offer. You tell me, comment section, if that's the case. At the time of this writing, I have just gotten finished with the fall semester, so I may be able to upload more videos than usual since I have more free time. But then again, I may not. You guys will just have to be patient with me. Also, there's an entirely new Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie, The Dark Side of Dimensions, the English dub of which, as of the time of this recording, has not yet seen its theatrical debut in the US. But I am going to be reviewing it as well in this series, only when it comes out on DVD and Blu-ray. It may take a bit, but trust me, we'll get into movies in a little while. With all that said, let's get started already. Some cleanup. Remember when I wanted to do arc analyses of each of the major characters? Well, I've decided to go even further, and do a character progression analyses as a whole for each major character, but that'll require waiting until the end of Duel Monsters to do so, meaning that I'll be jotting down character notes, as well as plot synopses and little tidbits that go into these. Show me your support in the comments below if you will, please. We pick up with Joey, who is wandering around a mansion. He breaks through a wall, comically if I may add, and he actually finds the Kaiba craft. Upon finding that he is alone and while making his way through the craft, he finds that Mai's door is left completely wide open. Once entering the room, Joey looks upon Mai, which is followed by a flashback of Merrick sending her soul to the Shadow Realm. It's very effective at selling the feelings that Joey has been developing towards Mai as well, despite most people saying that they have no romantic chemistry between them at all, especially within the dub, where, according to those very fans, the romantic feelings weren't even touched upon. I have to respectfully disagree with that. The feelings are touched upon, but they don't go overboard. The next duel is set up rather effectively. Joey's opponent, Johnson, literally takes control of Mai's body and plays on Joey's and the audience's emotions by doing so. Eventually, Johnson claims that nothing is real. Well, if what Johnson says isn't real, then I guess the ground that Joey is standing on doesn't exist. Or if we want to go even more morbid, we could say that Joey isn't even a real person, that he's just a comedic genius running around cracking one-liners all the time. Johnson, like the other two opponents before him, is dripping with characterization and has a layered persona. Like the other two opponents, he held a high-end job at Kaiba Court before being axed off by Kaiba himself. When Joey presses Johnson as to why they're dueling, Johnson proclaims, "To me, the game of Duel Monsters is like a trial." That's a pretty interesting philosophy. Now, I'm no lawyer. I went to a high school and spent 4 years of my life in a law program, only to find it incredibly dull and boring when I got out of it. Don't get on me for picking on lawyers, but I just want to express that the material that was presented to us at that high school was so dry and boring. There was no flavor, no spark, nothing to really get me personally invested in it. Johnson adds even more philosophy to this, though. as the duel between him and Joey literally takes place in a courtroom. Johnson adds more legalese to this context, stating things like, I told you that Duel Monsters is like a trial, so we're better to duel than in a courtroom. In one of my personal favorites, when he says to Joey, and when you lose, you'll be sentenced to spend eternity here. That's great characterization, as well as makes for some pretty good humor thanks to Joey's antics. From the beginning of the duel, Joey gets more and more frustrated with Johnson's legalese, and personally I did as well, although that's probably because of my aforementioned 4 years of high school torture. Thankfully though, the duel between them is much more entertaining and gets my mind off the legal stuff. Joey gains a huge advantage within just 2 turns. Really exhilarating stuff. Plus it was really nice to see Joey so happy when it comes to dueling in the first place. It's been a while since we've seen that. In fact, his feelings at this point are perfectly captured in a single line, which I am convinced only Dwayne Grayson can deliver with such conviction.
Oh, so, having fun, Joseph?
No, I'm having a terrible time kicking you around the courtroom. Of course I'm having fun, and this party is just beginning, Johnson. Too bad you won't have anything to celebrate.
Johnson, though, hits with another bit of legalese, but I actually really like this bit. He says,
He doesn't realize I've let him get ahead, for it's not the beginning of the trial that counts. It's the final verdict!
That makes a lot of sense in the context of a duel, or pretty much any life scenario in general. You can be ahead, sure, but you can let your guard down, or else the enemy can make a comeback, possibly resulting in your defeat. We go back to the Kaiba Bros. Seto states that Noah is too much of a coward to meet them face to face. But in actuality, Noah is just using a divide and conquer strategy. He's the king, or the equivalent to Emperor Palpatine. He shouldn't have to get his hands dirty. Although ironically enough, both of these people do that very thing in the end of their respective stories. Palpatine in Return of the Jedi, and Noah near the end of this arc. Man, every time I think of the words Noah and arc together, I keep thinking of the Book of Exodus. So it goes. Yuki and Taya eventually find their way to Joey, and the tables are quickly turned. Now Joey is on the defensive, and both he and Johnson are only one attack away from either winning or losing. Okay, I've held it off long enough. Prepare yourselves for an incoming rant. But the one thing I don't like, though, is how Johnson cheats. Yes? Seriously. He twists the facts and makes it so that Joey's Skull Dice card, which had rolled a perfect 6 and was a perfectly good counter, Johnson makes the 6 become a 1. Then again, most villains up to this point cheated in some way or other, so who am I to judge? Ha! Judge. But Johnson does it again. Oh boy, does he do it again. When Joey plays Graceful Dice, which also rolled a perfect 6, only for Johnson to make it a 1. And he does it again when Joey plays a very risky card called Gamble, which is essentially a love or die card, and Johnson tips the coin up in his favor. Taya later states that she's never seen Joey have such bad luck before, but wait, what? There is no such thing as bad luck. Going out of the Yugioh universe and into another one, Ben Kenobi in A New Hope states that,
in my experience, there's no such thing as luck.
For crying out loud! This isn't bad luck, it's dirty cheating, and there's no denying it! I'm sorry, but if there's one thing that I absolutely can't stand, it's someone cheating the odds, not showing any of their own skill, or putting any of their own effort into the thing that they're trying to accomplish. Either because they have no pride in themselves as a person, or that they're the type of person who just wants to control everything. I'm trying to enjoy this duel, but when a pet peeve of mine, as in Johnson's cheating method, keeps happening over and over again, it just robs the duel of all its tension, and just makes me want to hate the character. Now, does that take away anything from the duel itself? No, not really, aside from the tension I mentioned earlier, but I get it. I get this premise, of the main baddie cheating, as it actually makes it all the more satisfying to see this guy finally be brought down. The funny thing is that Noah actually comes in and rats Johnson out, nearly saving Joey in the process. And I have to say, I never saw that coming. I would have expected Noah to just let Johnson carry on and win. But it seems that Noah actually has some sort of honor code that he goes by. We also get some pretty interesting backstory for Noah. Here, have a listen.
For years I've lived in Seto's shadow, always trying to prove that I'm the better one. I should be the president of Kaiba Corp, not him. And it's about time I've proven to Gozaburo Kaiba that he should have left the company to me.
I really like this twist. It's a classic proving yourself to your parents story. I've actually had to go through this a little bit. Just not with my parents, but rather with my colleagues. People have dubbed me as the cripple, or the moron, or even the guy with the mafia hairstyle, although that last one is actually kind of funny. But in doing so, I've had to prove myself time and time again that even though I've been ranked below the rest of my peers, I can be just as good, if not better than the sum of my parts, maybe even more. Noah's backstory is a beautiful metaphor, and it really hits home for me as a viewer. Now that Johnson can't cheat anymore, Joey's luck actually starts to turn around, which culminates in a choice that he gives Johnson.
Guys, there's only 2 cards. Of course, if you choose a monster, I can sacrifice it to power up my Flame Swordsman and blast away the rest of your life points. Hi, it's time for Flame Swordsman to attack Dragoness, the Wicked Knight.
Ultimately, Joey defeats Johnson in spectacular fashion.
No, this can't be!